Okay, so for each of these limits, I want you to think, is this a basic graph? If it is there a vertical asymptote? And if it isn't, is there a vertical asymptote? But if you know it's a basic graph, then have a sketch of it or think about it. So I know that this is a basic graph where the asymptote is here at 2, and the graph looks like this. All right, so as I'm going towards 2 from the negative side, I can see the answer is positive infinity. I'm done. ln of x, looks like this. If I'm going towards 0 from the positive side, jumping on the graph, I see the answer is negative infinity. This is that graph. You know it. Drawn it many times already. So if this says 0, it means it's implied you're doing the positive and the negative. So the limit as I'm going towards 0 from the negative side, this graph, x over absolute value of x, is negative 1. And if I'm taking the limit as x goes towards the positive side, it's 1. So this answer does not exist. You can just write this. I was just trying to write that, but it got kind of messy. Sorry about that. Just showing you that the limit from the negative side is negative 1, from the positive side is 1, so this limit does not exist. This is not a basic graph, but I do know that x equal negative 1 is a vertical asymptote. So since I know it's a vertical asymptote, I know the answer is plus or minus infinity. I just need to figure out which kind by choosing a number. So I'm going towards negative 1 from the positive side, so I want to choose a number like negative 0.9. So I'm just trying to figure out, I'm not going to do any calculation, just figuring out a positive or negative. So I get a positive from the numerator, and the denominator I'll get a positive as well. So the answer is positive infinity. All right, so this says root x. You know what that graph looks like. So if I'm going towards 0 from the negative side, that means coming in this direction. Wait a minute, we haven't encountered this before. Is there a graph to jump onto as I'm approaching 0 from the negative side? There is no graph over here. So as a result, that means this limit does not exist. All right, so this is a basic graph. We've talked about this. This is a quarter circle or a half of a circle, radius 4. And it says take the limit as x goes towards 4. Notice there's no plus minus, so that means you have to come in from both directions towards 4. So I'm coming from the left as I'm going towards 4. I go to the y value of 0. But what happens on the right-hand side? From the right-hand side, there is no graph, so there is no limit from the positive side, so this limit does not exist. And I'll just write down it because the limit as x goes towards 4 from the positive side does not exist. Just so you have that in your notes. All right, so let's look at this graph. Is not a basic graph. Is 3 a vertical asymptote? It is, because it makes the x equal 3, makes the denominator equal to 0, and it makes the numerator not 0. All right, so we know it's a vertical asymptote. Oh, this is 2 problems in 1. I need to go check what's happening as x's go towards 3 from the positive side and from the negative, because it does say just towards 3. So it's implied. So I know, again, the answer is infinity, so it's my job to figure out the signs of the infinity. So if I'm going towards 3 from the positive side, I'm going to choose a number like x equals 3.1. And if I put in 3.1, I end up getting positive over positive, so it's a positive infinity. If I'm going towards 3 from the negative side, I'm going to choose a number like x is equal to 2.9. If I put in 2.9, I get a positive over a negative, so this gives me a negative infinity. Therefore, this is an answer of D and E. Okay, you've got to know your graph of tangent. Looks like this. And you know that this is the asymptote of pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. So this is saying go towards pi over 2 from the left-hand side, so from this side, so I can see that that's infinity. This is my graph of ln of x that shifted to the right by 2. So it used to cross here at 1, so now it's going to cross here at 3. Used to have an asymptote here at 0, so now it's going to have an asymptote here at 2. So it's going to look like this. It's going to be what my graph looks like. So what happens as I'm going towards 2 from the negative side? 2 from the negative side, there's no graph. So since there's no graph, the answer is D and E, right? There's no graph coming from that side. Let's see how many more I've got. All right, finish up these ones right here. So cosecant, you've got to know what your cosecant graph looks like. So cosecant, whenever the sign is 0, we have asymptotes. So here and here. So 0 and pi, and again at 2 pi. So it would be cups here and a cup here. All right. So this says go towards pi from the positive side. Go towards pi from the positive side and be going down to negative infinity. Cotangent, you got to know what that graph looks like. It looks like this. This is 0 and this is pi where the asymptotes are. So if I'm going towards pi from the positive side, oh, I'm going to have to add more graphs. So you know cotangent keeps going. I just drew one wave, so it's going to look like this. So going towards 0 to pi from the positive side, I'm going up to positive infinity. Looking at this, so I know this is not a basic graph. I do know that x equals 0 is a vertical asymptote because it makes the denominator 0 and the numerator not 0. That's a key thing. Numerator can't be 0. So if I'm going towards 0 from the positive side, since it's a vertical asymptote, you know infinity is your answer. You're just trying to find out the sign. So I'm going to choose a number like 0.1. So if I plug in 0.1 in the numerator, I get a positive number. If I put a 0.1 in the denominator, I get a positive number. So this is a positive infinity. All right, last few here. So cosecant, again, the cups. This would be pi, and this would be 2 pi. The asymptotes. Okay, so if I'm going to go towards pi from the negative side, that's coming from this side, I'm going up to positive infinity. So secant, the cup's coming off of the cosine. This is pi over 2 here, right? And this is 1, and this is negative 1. So if I'm going to pi over 2 from the positive side, I'm coming from this side, so I'm going down to negative infinity. One last one. So 2. Not a basic graph, but I do know that x equal 2 is a vertical asymptote because it makes the numerator not 0 and the denominator 0. So I know the answer is infinity, right? You know you have infinity. Now I just need to figure out the sign. So if I'm going towards the 2 from the positive side, I'm going to choose a number like 2.1. So I have a positive number over a positive at the x squared. 2 minus 2.1 gives me a negative number, so I get a negative infinity for the answer.